Greetings, gentlemen and ladies. I am the Crypto Game Snob. In today's video, we're going to talk about a little deck that my buddy Crypto Mike and I kind of put together here. This is one that has been around. The potential for it has been around for a while. Actually, it has kind of come into light with the addition of zombie death, but this is not zombie death. This is something that you have probably never seen played before. Certainly, I've never seen it played before, and it's crazy. I'm going to show you a couple games after this. Here's how we're looking. Here's what we look like. Okay, this is the main card in the deck. Blessing of Death. Your relic gains 3 favor whenever a creature dies. Okay, whenever any creature dies, your creatures, their creatures, doesn't matter. You gain 3 favor. You have to have a relic equipped. That is why we have something like Necroceptor, a relic that just lasts for the entire game. And we also, of course, have cards like Cursed Obelisk and anything that can just bring up creatures onto the board to die. Their whole point is to die, right? Because every time they die, you get 3 favor. You get favor from making good trades. You get favor from every time something dies. You can also cast this twice. You can cast this twice on your relic, and then you can get up to 6 favor every time something dies. Their side, your side, doesn't matter. Tons of zombies on the board, tons of favor. As you will see, and as you've probably seen from the title of this video, it is not uncommon to see games where you gain 300-400 plus favor, right? And you can even start spending your favor. Okay, so I thought this would be an interesting idea. So what I did is I've paired this together with a card that basically doesn't get any play. The Divine Messenger. Now take a look at the stats on this card. This is a Trial of the Gods card, as is Blessing of Death, a Trial of the Gods card. So these 2 cards are locked, right? They're never changing. So this deck is, unless they nerf zombies somehow, right? This deck is conceivably viable for, the duration. Here's how Divine Messenger looks. If you have 80 favor or more, give 5/5 and ward to each creature in your deck. If that sounds ridiculous, it is because it is ridiculous. 5/5 and ward to each creature in your deck. You also get a big 7/7 body on the board if you don't happen to have 80 favor. But if you draw your Blessing of Death, if you draw Necroceptor, you will have 80 favor easily by mana 7, easily. And then basically what happens is you buff up all the other creatures in your deck. Nether's Advocate, for example, would become a 6/6 with ward. Pyrrhic Hatchling would become an 8/9 with ward and burn 2. And it kind of goes on from there. You can see how ridiculous it can be when you drop your Divine Messenger. Ridiculously ridiculous. Your Pyramid Warden would become an 8/12, right? Reflection Elementalist. Well, this might actually not be the best card. I've actually made some adjustments to this deck kind of as I've been playing around with it, and one other interesting consideration for this deck is, is it in here? No, it's not in this one. All right, let's just punch it up really quick here. We're just kind of over to cards. Is the Ghostly Chariot. Here's another really nice synergy for this deck. That is because Ghostly Chariot is after a creature summoned gain 2 favor. That doesn't matter. Afterlife, if you have 40 favor or more, summon a Ghostly Chariot. So this deck races to 40 favor very quickly and very easily, and once you drop down your Ghostly Chariots on the board, they can never die. Not even Apocalypse Now can kill a Ghostly Chariot. It just keeps coming back indefinitely. There's nothing you can do to deal with this except maybe transform it into another creature. All right, here's how the rest of the deck looks. This is not perfect. I'm still refining this. I'm still experimenting, but here's how we look otherwise. We've got some Nether's Advocates, the Pyrrhic Hatchlings, and that is because we've also got some more Voracious Fiends, of course. And that is because this helps us to stay ahead of things in the early game. Every time this guy dies, you come back with something else. When this guy dies, you come back with something else. When this guy hits anything, it gets burned 2. So whatever it hits, it kills eventually. Fickle Cambion is awesome because it gets +1/1 every time you soul burn yourself or every time your opponent hits you, whatever the case may be. It's just a nice early game card and late game card, honestly. Necroceptor, of course, to spit out zombies. Vrock for some card draw, because we do want to find our Blessing of Death. We do want to find our our Necroceptor. Cursed Obelisk also spits out zombies. I might have said that. Decaying Rhino again, just for some early game control. And also these creatures are fantastic for buffing up later, right? Like if you don't draw this and you get it buffed up by your Divine Messenger, this suddenly becomes an 11/12 Rhino with Ward, right? I recently swung Nether Swarm Lord. I didn't have these in here initially. I actually swapped these out for the Ghostly Chariots, just because Ghostly Chariots weren't always coming up in time, and I'm kind of still experimenting with this. But this is a very, very interesting deck. Neferu's awesome. She helps to clear the board and control the board kind of middle of the game. Arch of Amemos, if you don't happen to find your Necroceptor and your Obelisk and you're not able to get zombies early game, you can still potentially get them a little bit later. We have a couple of Epoch Nows in here. You could possibly switch these out for something else, like maybe City Planner. The point is we're just trying to delay the game if things aren't going our way. This deck is sort of trying to get you there, even if you're not necessarily getting there. If for some reason you haven't found your relic and your Blessing of Death. We don't want this to be a one-trick pony, so we've got some cards in there which sort of help things move along even if we don't get our one-trick pony, right? Divine Messenger, of course. Demogorgons are in there, again, to delay the game, to kind of swing things back if things are out of control. You could try a Black Blood Blast if you don't have this. You could try a couple of End Times instead, something like that. And, of course, Hypocria's Monster for that end game. Not that we really need it. And actually, like I say, I've been shuffling this deck around a bit. Initially, I didn't have Hypocria's Monster because Divine Messenger buffs up everything to be so big and huge. And this is not exactly the list you'll see when we jump into the games, but this is very close. Basically, the things that got changed around were Ghostly Chariot for Nether Swarm and Hypocria's Monster. I don't remember what I had there, but you'll see as we go into the games. The point of this is getting lots of favor and Divine Messenger to buff up a lot of creatures in your deck. And that is also why this deck is heavy focused on a lot of cheap creatures that would be really good buff targets for later on. Alright, let's jump into some games. Okay, kicking things off. We're starting out here at 5 mana because this game went on beyond my 20-minute shadow replay record limit. And this was a pretty crazy game. This was a pretty crazy game that kind of serves what this deck can actually do. At this point, we're actually at 5 mana. We haven't really begun implementing the play of Blessing of Death yet because we haven't got a relic yet. So you do need that relic to play Blessing of Death upon. You can play, of course, 2 Blessing of Death upon a single relic and get 6 favor every time anything dies. Your creature, their creatures, it doesn't matter. You get favor every time anything dies, and you can imagine just how well that pairs together with zombies, basically with zombies. All right, so here we are in the game. Here we are, and this, like I say, this is a long one. This is an interesting one, and yeah. All right, so where are we? 5 mana, just going a little bit of face damage here. We actually have a nice board at this point. It actually looks like a very overpowered board at this point, but yeah, this is actually from a few weeks ago. So this was before a little bit of the balancing and core refresh and stuff like that. I've been sitting on this video for a little while. The principle still applies, of course, but you may see some cards from a few weeks ago, from before the core refresh. Just because, yeah, I've been sitting on this one for a little while, just kind of testing it, refining it, that sort of thing. But yeah, I think I've kind of taken it as far as I want to take it for the moment. So yeah, time to release the video. Alright, there's probably a bunch of interesting variations you can do with this, maybe better than what I've got, so if you guys have any tips or suggestions, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can refine this deck even further as a team. Yeah, Alright. Anyway, sit back, relax, and there is that huge 6 mana wall. 4/8/1 armor, that is such a huge wall. What previously looked like a pretty good board now looks like a almost inconsequential board. Of course, Epoch now is in hand. That burn does apply, even through armor a little bit, not too much, but you know, it'll start to whittle that creature away. I still don't have my Necroceptor. We're so late in the game, we're almost at 7 mana, I still haven't found my Necroceptor in this one. If you can play Blessing of Death, and I'll show you guys a little bit later. We'll do another game that has even more favor than this one. We haven't even started getting into the favor yet on this deck. And I did design it to sort of parlay, you know, in the early game. Even if you don't get the relic you need, even if you don't get Blessing of Death, it's still got some cards and some creatures that'll help you get through to finding what you need. So like I was saying before, what previously looked like a good board for us has kind of started to look a little bit less good at this point, with that huge wall in the way and most of my deck just cleared, just a Pyramid Warden that'll bring one of his creatures back. So yeah, but there's the Necroceptor finally, and guess what? Time for double Blessing of Death on that Necroceptor. The main thing you gotta watch out for is relic removal. If you're playing this deck, relic removal on your Blessing of Death buffed relic, it hurts. It's not good. It's not good at all. So keep a close eye on the Sanctum. Obviously, try to buy any relic removal if you know if it's there. Otherwise, maybe don't buy anything from the Sanctum. You know, if there's not a relic removal there, let your opponent shuffle up the Sanctum. You don't want to buy something from the Sanctum and then have the relic removal appear and then have your opponent ahead of you in favor. That's no good. That's no good. Shuffled into this deck, the Reflection Elementalist. Now, this is maybe not one that I decided to keep just because its second card doesn't get buffed by Divine Messenger, but there's the APOC now. That'll help to balance things out a bit, give us a fighting chance at least. Even though, yeah, like I say, that big wall is just so big to try to get through with little creatures, which is a lot of what Death has at the moment. At the moment, anyway, that could change. And it probably will, just no spoilers, but yep, it's probably going to change as this game goes on. Yeah, so at this point, that wall is pretty effective at stopping attacks. Of course, now here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, because like I say, every time any creature dies, you get favor, right? More and more favor. Now I don't have what I'm looking for in my hand yet. I need 80 favor before I throw down Divine Messenger, and Divine Messenger buffs every creature in your deck +5/+5 and gives it ward. Every creature, not just in your hand, but in your deck. That sounds crazy, right? Because it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. If you manage to pull off a Divine Favor successfully, it's absolutely nuts. But we're going to see that. We're going to see that in just a minute. Like I say, no spoilers, but we're going to see that coming up. Should I fast forward here? Maybe. Defend the ramparts. But like I say, check out my favor, right? Every time anything dies, more favor, +6 favor, +6 favor. This is one of the only decks where you can lose creatures and actually not be sad about it. Like, every time I lose creatures in this, I'm just like, yeah, cool. +6 favor, +6 favor, +6 favor. That works. And there's Divine Messenger. Now that's what we need. Now we only need another, what is it, 14 favor. 14 favor. I'd like to be able to trade off that Reflection Elementalist. That'll help get some favor. Fickle Cambion perhaps is an option. You know, you don't have to play you don't have to play everything at once, basically. But you want to get some creatures. You want to kill some creatures at this point. You want to get that Divine Messenger out. And buff out more cards in your deck. The more cards you have in your deck, the more creatures you have in your deck, the more effect that Divine Messenger will have when it comes down on the board. If I get really lucky here, I might get a board wipe. Something like a Cyclone would be nice. And normally you wouldn't want to be Cyclone, but in this case, yep, that'd be fine. Shaped Blast, that works pretty good. Each creature without frontline gets nuked, and that is just perfect. Like I say, normally you get nuked, you get sad, but no, not with this. Look at all that, look at all that favor coming in. Look at all that favor. That's crazy. We just jumped from like 60, what was it, 66 to 96? And we, you know, basically got our board wiped. So perfect, right? Like, I'm happy about that. And now, oh, now's the time. Divine Messenger is down on the board. So everything in my deck, every creature in my remaining deck just got buffed +5/+5 and was given ward. And I've got 12 cards left in the deck. It is quite late in the game, of course, to be throwing down Divine Messenger. I've had games where I've thrown this down basically you can pip into this on 6.5, and you can have enough favor on 6.5 to throw down Divine Messenger. I've had it happen a number of times. This deck is fully capable of actually getting to 80 favor by like 6.5, 7 mana. It actually is. It's happened many times. Not in this case though, because it took forever to find my relic in this case, so. Right. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. The only thing, oh, there's a big bopper. Helion Elite comes down, but check out that Nether Swarm Lord. Comes down as an 8/10. That's huge. That's a huge card. Unfortunately, that Helion Elite is an absolute threat, and I told you guys this game was going to get interesting, right? This game definitely gets interesting, so stay tuned, stay tuned. We're getting into some cool stuff here. So I'm just trying to calculate if there's some way that I could pop that bubble and do enough damage to take that Helion Elite out of the game. Some way, somehow, some way, with a prayer. Volca's Discovery is an option there because it does 1 damage to everything. You could use that to pop the bubble. Pop the bubble. Throw down Form of Power, do a little bit of damage. Plus a zombie actually ends up being potentially enough. Wait, why did I do that? I can't remember why I did that now. But hey, I did it. Oh, I remember why. Because I wanted to play a big, huge creature on the board. Basically, at 28 health, I can survive a hit, right? And throwing down more threats on the board, he's got 12 health. So he's kind of got to deal with my creatures, right? He can't go swing and face unless he wants to basically lose the game soon. So he's got to deal with some creatures here. So I'm throwing down threats. That warded 8/10, obviously huge, right? 8/10 on its own is a big threat. Never mind ward. Star Shard Bolt works very nice here. That removes a lot of my board presence. Leaving me with a tiny little zombie? No. Doesn't even leave me with a tiny zombie? No, he leaves me with a tiny zombie. Of course, we got to take the big bopper out. And Arc of a Memos is kind of huge here. 8/12 with ward and backline. Good luck ever removing that from the game. That's just crazy. How do you remove a backline 8/12 Arc of a Memos with a ward? I guess it's, you know, not impossible, but that's a big old card to get rid of. So now I'm going to be able to spit out zombies every single turn, should I so choose, should I so need. But there it is. There it is. I told you guys this game was going to get interesting, right? So we have Polyhymnia drop down on the board. Protected, warded, 4 armor, frontline, everything. Everything you need. Everything you need to defend as effectively you could possibly defend. Yeah, there we have it. Polyhymnia. So we're going to start things simple there. pop the bubble, except no, we're not, because we can't pop the bubble, because the zombie doesn't even do damage through the armor, which I forgot about before I did that. But at this point, we're looking for some card draw. Cursed Obelisk, even though it's super buff, doesn't really help. The other Swarm Lord is down again. That's 8-10. That's something at least. And actually, I'm pretty sure I should have taken out the shield mate in there with my zombies, but I did actually make one or two mistakes in this game. As we're trying to calculate all the numbers, right, for trying to deal with polyhymnia, it doesn't leave you with a lot of time for thinking about every single thing. And yeah, there's quite a lot of strategy thinking going on here, trying to figure out, all right, how could I possibly remove polyhymnia? So he's focused on popping some wards. Shaped Blast also helps to remove quite a bit of zombie board presence. You can see that little favor generator every time a creature dies. Now, Reflection Elementalist is obviously good, but in this case I'm only getting a single buffed version of it. The second one it creates is not going to come down buffed, so obviously could be better. I'm still looking for some good card draw here. Card draw is extremely powerful for me at this point, with everything buffed 5/5 with Ward. Rock, look at that. We have a 9/7 Rock. We have a 8/9 Reflection Elementalist. We have some big old scary creatures. Now, I did actually miscalculate that a little bit. I thought I had one more mana after that, and I was planning to throw down Rock, but like I said, I did make a few mistakes in this. And yeah, this was one of them. This was one of them. I think I could have probably played that a little better, but there you have it. The only saving grace of polyhymnia, that massive impenetrable wall, nearly impenetrable wall, the only saving grace is that its attack is 6. So unlike dropping something like Apocry's monster down, where if you don't take it out next turn you're done, at least you got a little bit of time to figure out how to deal with polyhymnia at only 6 attack. That being said, not a huge amount of time when Worm Breath comes down. So things are not looking amazing at this particular time. Another Divine Messenger. Now, here's a neat thing about Divine Messenger. If you drop down 2 of them, then you buff up everything in your deck +5/+5 twice. Alright, so you basically get +10/+10 with Ward. If that sounds crazy, it's because it's crazy. At this point, I'm just actually clearing some cards off the board, making room for some other cards. But we're in a bit of a Hail Mary here. At 9 health with polyhymnia still in the way, that's a lot of muscle to deal with. Divine Messenger absolutely could deal with it if it gets a turn. Here I also messed up. I did not mean to click the Arc of Amemos, and I accidentally filled up my board and couldn't drop anything down, couldn't play my 9 mana. That was a huge, huge mistake. I don't remember why I clicked it. I just clicked it, it summoned the zombies. I was like, oh shoot, because you saw me clearing the board specifically to drop down some big creatures, and then I accidentally clicked Arc of Amemos. Oops. And then we have even more muscle on the board. Even more muscle on the board. Crazy amount of muscle. One thing we do have on our side, though, is 143 points of favor. That's quite a lot of favor. Star Shard Bolt deals with my only significant threat on the board. I get nothing but zombies. Now those zombies are not the worst because, yeah, they can actually hit the other front line and drain health and gain a bit of health back. But you can see I'm counting the cards on the left because I know that somewhere in the deck is an Apoc Now. I've got one more Apocalypse Now somewhere in the deck, which is basically fairly essential at this point. Right, so I think I have 2 cards left in the deck, and one of them is Apocalypse Now. So I'm just basically throwing away all my zombies, getting some heals in whilst I can. Probably wasn't even a good idea to throw down that Cyclopean Defender because it does give me a chance to heal, whereas the Polyhymnia would not have. But, yep, hindsight's 20/20. Anyway, I'm hoping at this point that I can basically play Rune of Sight and I get a 50-50 draw here on Apocalypse Now, which is absolutely what I need. It's the only out here. It's the only way to save this game. And that's what we pull. So, that 4C2 coming in very handy. Apocalypse Now goes down. And Polyhymnia is off the board. Alright, alright. Still crunchy here, still in crunch time. A storm, what is it, Stormfield? Stormfield Shield? I forget what that one's called. Another nice front line. But as you may have noticed, we have some extremely beefy, buffy creatures in hand at this point. Still, he has 5 damage on the board, plus Mage Bolt makes 6. So it is still crunchy crunch time. There is a nice Rune of Healing in the Sanctum. Neferu is nice because she could clear the board potentially. We could do some healing. Hand is full, so I got to throw something down first. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So many powerful minions to choose from. And basically the wrong move at this point could spell a certain doom, so I gotta choose something good here. Now Neferu could clear most of the board, could clear the threat from the board, basically. Yeah, I'm fairly indecisive, right? So there we go. Do a little bit of damage to the front line, then Neferu can finish everything off. Neferu also does some damage to me, but I have space now for that Rune of Healing, which hopefully will give me just enough health to avoid something like a Worm Breath, or maybe Epiphany, whatever it happens to be. And actually, what happened here, as you can see, is it kind of didn't work. It didn't play. I don't know if I was a little bit too slow or what, but I wasn't able to play that Rune of Life. You can see my frustration here, thinking, oh man, if he's got Worm Breath now and I wasn't able to play that just because the game kind of lagged up, that sucks. That's no good. But it's always nice when you see your opponent playing a card instead of immediately slapping down a Worm Breath. It gives you a little bit of hope that maybe he doesn't have that Worm Breath. And that is indeed the case in this case. Not entirely sure what he was hoping for. Maybe just throwing some cards down for the heck of it because Neferu needed to be dealt with at this point. And that's it. That's it. Good game, good game. And that's it. Game over. All right, let's jump into another one. All right. All right, we join you midway through the game again. Turn 3 at this point. Again, we got another fairly long game to play. Another fairly long game. Lots of gameplay for you guys here today. Going up against a light, and this time with the basically the same deck. Oh, there's my cat in the background. I think she wants some attention. She's been pushing at my arm. She kind of climbs up on my chair and taps on my arm when she wants attention. It's pretty cute. All right. So we do have dual Blessing of Death in hand at this point. We've got a Necroscepter also equipped. That is a sure remedy for getting massive amounts of favor early on in the game. Hey, kitty. So there's one Blessing of Death on the Relic. And there's a second Blessing of Death on the Relic. Now we do have that Relic removal, the Bronze Servant in the Sanctum, which isn't good. You know, if he manages to get a few more favor, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, to remove my Necroscepter, that would be bad. That would not be good. I can't remember exactly how much the Bronze Servant costs for favor, but that's also the nice thing about zombies, is that when a zombie goes into your void, your opponent loses 2 favor. So I get more favor, like a lot more favor. We were just at 0, now we're at 12 favor, and he's gone down in favor. So, well, he's gone up a little bit, but he's gone down overall, I believe. I can't remember now. I think he's up 1 or 2. Ghostly Chariot is also a fun card, because once you get to 40 favor, which can happen extremely fast in this game, and there you go. There you see I'm going right for that Bronze Servant. Just like right away, take that out of the Sanctum. That would absolutely ruin my day if that came down. And now we're just basically spitting out zombies to get them killed. The whole goal is to get zombies killed, buff them up, buff up that favor, get the favor up, and then look for Divine Messenger or Ghostly Chariot. It's also good. Alright, let's see. Just chatting with my buddy Crypto Mike on Discord here. We've been mucking around with the core set refresh, trying to figure out what the new meta is. I've been playing some Amazon decks, playing some war decks. You guys may have seen the previous video just before this one. Like I say, I pre-recorded this video actually, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And initially Mike, my buddy Crypto Mike was saying, yeah, don't release that yet. We got to sit on this one for a while, figure it out, refine it. But yeah, no, we've kind of gotten into the new core refresh meta, so yeah, decided it's time just to throw this video up and show this kind of crazy, ridiculous favor meta, basically. So every zombie that dies is good. Check that out. 15 up to 21, right? 21 up to 27. And so on and so forth. You just get so much favor. And we need one more point of favor and we could slap down the Ghostly Chariot. Actually, we could slap down Ghostly Chariot right now. But what I actually neglected about that card was that it actually generates 2 favor every turn. Or did I forget that? I can't remember if I remember that or not. So you throw it down at the end of turn, you get 2 favor from it. So I would have actually been safe to throw that down at 39 favor. Once you throw it down and you have 40 favor, basically it can never die. You can hit this thing with Apocalypse now, and it will just keep coming back. It never dies. The only thing you could possibly do is transform it in, like, Ratify or transform it, or Lights Levy maybe. Actually, I'm not sure. Can you Lights Levy it? I can't remember its strength at this point. But yeah, that's as long as you keep killing it, destroying it, it will always keep coming back. Only a transform could stop it. And yeah, his creatures die, my creatures die. Doesn't really matter. Everything's good. Everything's worth favor. At this point, I'm sitting on a pretty full hand. How many cards is that? Like, I think I've already got 9 cards in hand. Never great. You don't want to start losing cards because you're overdrawn. So what did I lose? Only an Apocalypse Now, that's all. That's heartbreaking. Don't like to see that too much. Do still have Demogorgon in hand. Neferu is such a great, powerful, strong card. Perfectly down to 15 health, which means that if she dies, I can basically just throw her down again. And again, and again. Well, until I run out of health anyway. But this is another interesting game, actually. This one, like I say, went on for a long time. And some of these games do go on for a long time when you're buffing up favor, and then you have all that late game presence. It's not a blitzy aggro deck, certainly. At this point, the zombie actually potentially is a bad thing because it healed me up +2. So if you had a way to take out Neferu at that point, not sure if light does per se, but if he did, I could lose my Neferu because my health is higher than 15. Oh yeah, that's right. Now I remember. He did take out Neferu in just the right way. Heal me up so I can't get her back. Yeah, makes me cry. Bye, Neferu. But there's Divine Messenger, and we are already, like I say, above 80 favor, right? We're not even at 7 mana yet, and we are already above 80 favor. So like I was telling you guys, you can easily get to 80 favor before 7 mana, before it's Divine Messenger time. Ghostly Chariot is always nice on the board, like I say, basically never kill it. My whole strategy here is basically just to make room to play Divine Messenger next to get some huge creatures on the board, and that's about it. The sooner you can get out Divine Messenger, the better. Card draw is perhaps not even your best way to go, and as I look back at this deck now, I think perhaps a little less card draw would be better, because like I say, if you're trying to buff everything up before it all gets played, that would be better, right? That way you get more creatures buffed in your deck. The more you draw, the less creatures you have to buff up. Such a crazy card. Such a crazy card. You never see Divine Messenger played, but it's such a crazy card, especially with, like I say, Blessing of Death. And also props to Crypto Mike. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, check it out. Link in the description below. He was the one who thought of the Blessing of Death on the zombie relic. And then I thought, you know what would actually go really well with that is Divine Messenger. That could be crazy. And so yeah, we've been messing around with that idea for a while. At this point, I'm kind of trying to decide between throwing a bunch of stuff on the table, a bunch of threes, whatever, or just getting Divine Messenger out. You know, it's fun to play your best cards, but also at the same time, you kind of want to, you know, take the best strategy as well, right?
Patience.
So in this case, I'm just getting rid of Asterius. Because Demogorgon will target the only sleeping creature, which happens to be Asterius. I'll get some healing back. With Asterius on the board, with the Sentient Shard, with Devoted Follower, that's a lot of damage to face. So I'm just kind of playing a little bit cautiously here. Even though it would be fun, like I say, to throw down Divine Messenger and call it a day. Alright, now we're getting interesting. City Planner comes down with two nice front lines. There goes Demogorgon, helping with a little bit more healing though. So health is getting back up to a reasonable point.
My hand is full.
Milling another card, just Sulfuric Rain though, luckily, which is not a card I'd want to play, because I don't want to draw any more cards at this point, that's certainly true. I think I just wanted to play with Ghostly Chariots at this point. Looking back at this game, I feel like I should have slapped down Divine Messenger ages ago, but... Yep, there you have it. It's fun to play around with different cards. Sometimes that's what I do. I just like to play with different cards, just to try things a little bit different, right? Just kind of building up that board presence for a little bit later. Though, like I say, Divine Messenger first would be better. Here we are. Actually, this is kind of, I guess, earlier phase testing, which is kind of fairly ridiculous amounts of favor already. It gets a lot more ridiculous, though, as this game goes on. You guys will see. But I was already fairly impressed with that amount of favor. I was going to send that to my buddy Crypto Mike and say, "Hey, this is kind of crazy." But yeah, it gets even more ridiculous. You guys will see.
That is not possible.
At this point, the board is looking actually fairly threatening. We have those divine chains, an 8/8 city planner, 4/4. What is she called? Phoenix? I forget what she's called.
The hour is mine.
That's a handy card, though. I gotta say that's a helpful card. A little bit of healing from the zombies, always good. Just planning for APOC now. At the moment, you can see the two ghostly chariots on the board are actually they synchronize pretty well with APOC now, because nothing will survive an APOC now except for ghostly chariots. So there we have it. The biggest board clear in the game. Those ghostly chariots are immediately resurrected. You can see the favor in the bottom right of the screen going absolutely nuts. That's why there's such a pause in the game. The game's just calculating how much favor is coming up. Ghostly chariots get APOC'd again and come back. And they also give more favor for the second time they're APOC. So we're now up to 297 favor. And yeah, these little screenshots are, like I said, me just sending some screenshots to Crypto Mike saying this is getting absolutely nuts. We're at like 300 favor at this point. Yeah. So that's one way to turn the tide in a game. Two ghostly chariots, Necroceptor, APOC now. Yep. Is it finally time for Divine Messenger? I think so. I think so. I think we've held this card back for way too long, honestly, at this point. But there you have it. Oh, here's the thing about Divine Messenger. You can see the game's frozen right now. So what the game's actually doing is calculating all the buff cards in your deck. And so it's just like frozen as it's calculating all of these buffs that it's applying. I actually had one game crash entirely because of all the buffs that got applied to my deck when I played it like quite early on, like around 7 mana. A little bit of frontline never hurt anyone. Why not, right? At this point, things are looking fairly favorable in terms of our position on the board.
Let's make them
There's a
suffer.
big 12/12 Divine Messenger. Ghostly Chariot makes the trade, comes right back. Over and over again. And you can check out the favor is still racking up like crazy. 383 favor, 386. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Should we just throw down a nice big 12/12 Divine Messenger and buff everything up in the deck? Another +5/+5? I think so. Sure, why not? This is fair. This seems fair, right? We have just surpassed 400 favor for those of you keeping track.
Has been restored.
And I'm honestly kind of sad that this game ended here. I wanted to start drawing some +10/+10 warded creatures. But, yeah, there you have it. Alright, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. And, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy potential that you can do. See you guys later.